Hi all, Simon here, as ever on my wanderings through the park on the way back home. So today I'm just going to talk in general about my story. I'll do it through start to finish, so if you've been listening to a few of my videos, you probably don't need to listen to any of this. There's not going to be anything particularly new in here, but if you've caught one or two of my videos and you don't perhaps know where I'm from, what I'm about, why I'm doing what I'm doing, this may give you a little bit of insight of how I've come to be creating so many videos over the past month or so about metabolic therapy, cancer and the like. So it all started many years ago. Back when I was in my 20s, I got what was back then just called irritable bowel disease. Eventually they pinned it down to something called ulcerative colitis. Took many years. Oh lovely, a plane. Yeah, it took many years for me to find a drug to finally control my ulcerative colitis. But over the last several years I've been fairly well, and I'd say the last 3 to 5 years really well. However, having an autoimmune disease in the bowel for a very long time, it really increases the risk of cancer. And unfortunately last year that's what happened. I finally thought I'd got the ulcerative colitis under control and was only then told, hey, you've got cancer. That little patch of that we've been observing for a few years, it's finally turned into cancer, and we don't have many options for you. Well, in fact, they only had one option, and it was basically the one solution that I was offered was to remove my bowel entirely, have a stoma and a bag attached to my belly for the rest of my life. And I was like, after all those years of trying to figure out how to get my IBD under control, to be told that actually they're just going to cut it all out because that's the only option that they can offer me, it was like, no, I'm sorry, can't be dealing with that. So I went looking elsewhere to find other options, and I did. I found metabolic therapy. Now, it's something that's been known about for a very long time. It's a way of looking at cancer and also potentially treating cancer. Now, at this point, I will tell you, I am not a medical specialist. I am not a medical researcher. I am not a doctor or a scientist. All of what I know about metabolic therapy is through my own research and through research of fellow cancer warriors, sharing knowledge. So anything you hear from this point onward is my opinion, what I've found out, what I've heard from others, and what I believe to be true, but may not be scientifically accepted by the accepted medical community as standard of care at the moment. Just so you're aware, the standard medical community do not look at metabolic therapy as an alternate cure for cancer as a disease. They won't help you with it. They're not helping me with it. The NHS will have nothing to do with it. And so from this point on, whatever I talk about metabolic therapy, assume it's educational and it's my opinion, and it's can't be treated as medical fact. So I started learning about metabolic therapy because, like I say, the only option I was being given by the NHS was to remove my bowel, have a bag, rest of my life from a stoma, and their reasoning was that it cures the autoimmune disease and it gets rid of the cancer. Now, as a 1-2 punch, I can see where they're coming from, but as somebody who took many years trying to figure out how to get that disease under control, finally, as far as I'm concerned, I have. To spend any time with me, you'd never know I had any kind of condition whatsoever. It was a bit of a blow, and to then be told that finally the worst has happened, it has actually turned into cancer, It was like, how does anybody prepare for that? I mean, I knew I was in a high risk group. It's not like I didn't think it would ever go that way, but I was just hoping it wouldn't. Now, the thing with metabolic therapy is it's quite a simple process, and it's based on this. So over 100 years ago, Otto Warburg figured out that cancer basically used glucose as a fuel source, and rather than the normal way of creating ATP, it's metabolized it by fermenting it rather than using oxygen. Now, at the time he wasn't given any credit for this because his tests weren't repeatable, and there was good reason. There was a part of the puzzle missing. Now, Professor Thomas Seyfried has since filled in some of the missing parts of that puzzle. I would possibly go so far as to say all of the missing parts of that puzzle, but that's just my opinion. So we now also know that cancer doesn't just feed on glucose. We know that it also feeds on glutamine. So with those two fuels in your system, cancer has everything it needs to survive. So according to the metabolic theory of cancer, where it's actually the cell that's damaged, the mitochondria of the cell is damaged, changes how the fermentation works in the cell, and also the instructions that cause normal cells to shut down and destroy themselves and just get taken care of by the immune system. That mechanism is in that damaged part of the cells, so that's why cancer cells never kill themselves. They just keep repeating the cycle of growth. And so essentially, now that we know that damaged mitochondria is responsible for the growth and the proliferation of cancer, we can say with a fair amount of certainty that if we take away its fuel source, which is to say glucose and glutamine, we can do a pretty good job of limiting its growth and the spread of cancer. And don't forget, not a scientist, not a doctor, not prescribing this. This is my beliefs. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm basically taking the information that I've been given by Professor Seyfried based on Otto Warburg's work about how to starve cancer, and the way that I'm doing that is I'm using the ivermectin, membendazole, fenbendazole, and several supplements that have known anti-cancer properties for my type of cancer. They have research done. There are papers that back these up, often in conjunction with standard of care drugs, but all show benefits and improvements. And so that's what I'm doing to try and treat my cancer, which is stage 1 colorectal cancer caused by autoimmune disease. However, some of the treatments and some of the diagnostics for for metabolic therapy, for actually the metabolic therapy as a treatment, gets quite expensive. So if I was to do everything that I knew about as a treatment in the metabolic therapy space for my type of cancer, I need about 15 grand. I don't have that kind of money at the moment, unfortunately. So I'm having to try and raise that money for myself. Now, as I've already said, the NHS aren't going to help me with any of this. I mean, there is a test that you can get done whereby they'll take the cancer, they'll grow it, and they'll test it against hundreds of different types of drugs. And then they'll give you this list back The company is called RGCC, and you get this list of the top drugs that are going to kill your type of cancer if you take them. You don't get that kind of stuff from the NHS. They won't do that for you, but this RGCC company will, and a few others besides. But these tests run, I think they're around £2,000-3,000 to get those done. I would love to get that done, because if I could know what drugs I could take that would essentially attack the type of cancer that I've got, and I know that I'm stage 1, but I also know that that it's immune deficient type of cancer. There's a deficiency where the gene or the DNA replication cycle is faulty, and so the DNA gets broken. So it's called deficient DMMR, I think. But I mean, that's as much as I know about it. And there may be half a dozen, 2 dozen drugs that are really, really good at targeting that kind of cancer, but I don't know what they are, and I don't know if I can get them, because the NHS don't do that type of testing. Now, if I could get that done by raising some funds, that would be amazing. So I started a GoFundMe, and you'll find all of the details for my GoFundMe on my YouTube page, on my TikTok page. I've shared it on my Facebook page. But anybody that can help me towards getting that test done, and then maybe doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which we know is great for helping other drugs work much better, and maybe I could get a hydrogen water machine, and hydrogen monotherapy has been shown to have a positive effect on treating cancers. Again, all of this is stuff that I've read, that I believe to be true. I believe the science behind it is genuine and valid, and I think it's something that we should all be taking a look at when we're basically taking a sort of a stance on making our own healthcare decisions. So this is kind of where I'm at the moment in my journey. Is several months ago I found out I had cancer. You couldn't see it, it was invisible. A couple of months ago I had testing again, and it was a small tumour, 12 millimetres, and that was like, oh crap, I really need to do something about this. Then I found out about metabolic therapy. I found Bernardo Enrique's group in Cancer Warriors. That's on school.com, skool.com. We were sharing all of our research that we were finding, and I basically built my own protocol. It cost me about £350 a month, and I'm doing that at the moment as an interim to try and raise more cash to get more things done. So the RGCC test, the cash raised to do the hyperbaric oxygen therapy, maybe IV vitamin C if I need it. But things they're expensive. I mean, the hyperbaric oxygen therapy can be like £75 a session. IVC for a high dose can be like £150-200 per dose, and you want to be doing that 2, 3 to 5 times a week for 12 weeks for a session. So you can imagine it gets quite expensive, and this is what I'm looking to do now. Yes, I've started the GoFundMe, but I'm also looking at other things to try and raise funds for my own treatment. So I've just started looking at Amazon KDP, Kindle publishing, that kind of thing, because I've written a book before, so I figure I might be able to write some books on or about metabolic therapy. I helped Bernardo. He's got his website, metabolictherapy.com. I built that website from scratch, everything on there at the moment pretty much. I put on there. Hopefully that will change in time. We'll get more people publishing more content on there. But if you go and look at it right now, most of what's on there is stuff that I've put on there, and it's most of my research into metabolic therapy. Now, there are some things that we want to change. Not everything's 100%. I mean, the research is pretty good, don't get me wrong, but we want to present things in a slightly different way, and we want to do things that make it slightly easier for people to, get through what it is, how it works. So yeah, there will be some changes made, but that's kind of me giving back a little bit from all the help that I got from the warriors in the school group. Bernardo needing some help, and so I helped him build that website, but that's given me a huge amount of knowledge as well. So for me, that's something that's helped me be able to put my protocol together, even though it's a basic £350 a month kind of protocol, because I don't have the funds for the big fancy protocol that is recommended by the likes of Professor Seyfried. I can't afford the glutamine antagonist that he recommends, because that would cost a couple of £1,000. The chambers 5 times a week, £75 a session, the IVC £175 a session, etc. I just don't have it, unfortunately, so I'm relying on my GoFundMe to try and provide some of that. Now, I've raised a couple of £100 through that, but obviously that's not going to be enough. So also looking at, like I say, doing some publishing. I'm going to be putting some stuff on eBay, selling stuff from home. I've also got some online skills. I can do leaflets, I can do pamphlets, I can do various sort of design work. I can create simple websites if you've got any need for those, and I'll do them all at very good prices. I'm not going to try and charge you £5,000 for a website that only takes a couple of hours to build. That's just not how I do things. But if you've got anything that you think might be something that I could do for you, please do reach out, because I will be happy to chat with anybody, and if my skills match up with what you're looking for, chances are I'll be able to pull something together, give you a demo of what I can do. We can come to an arrangement before you ever pay out any money out of your pocket. Now, going forward, obviously, like I say, it's something that I'd like to get the RGCC done, maybe get some of the more expensive stuff done, but I'm not going to know how well my protocol is going at the moment, because I'm a number of weeks away for getting my next lot of scans through the NHS, which fortunately they have said they will do for me. So I am thankful that the NHS are helping me just monitor my cancer at the moment. But like I say, if anything that I am able to do is something that you might need doing for you, please just reach out. Even if you're not sure it'll be a fit or not, I'm still happy to talk about it. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Within 7-8 months, I've gone from, you've got cancer but it's not visible, to now it's visible 12 millimeters, and the only option we're going to give you is chopping your bowels out and giving you a bag for the rest of your life, to me finding metabolic therapy and coming up with my own protocol to basically figure out how I'm going to save myself from the cancer spreading and giving me an untimely death, as it were. So I don't believe that's going to happen. I believe metabolic therapy will work if I can fund it. And so if there's anything that you can do to help, whether that's subscribing to this channel, liking this video, giving a comment or a question below to help with engagement, donating to my GoFundMe, or sending me a bit of work that I might be able to do for you, all will be extremely appreciated, and I will be very, very grateful for any help that you guys can give me. So that's kind of my story, really, and the journey in a nutshell. It's not super exciting, I'm afraid. It's not at the moment last minute life and death situation, but I'm not taking this lightly. It is cancer, it is serious, but I do believe that metabolic therapy can stop it, and if I can pull together enough resources to be able to do what I need to do, I think that will work. And if I can do that, I can share that story with many other people and show them how they don't necessarily have to have major operations, loads of poison in their bodies over many months, being irradiated to the point of it making them unwell, and destroying their immune system, because I don't believe that's the only way of treating cancer. So if you've got anything you want to ask, please drop it in the comments below, and I will leave that there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next update. Have a lovely day wherever you are. Take care. Bye for now.